music. I'm from that dirt. I'm all about that dirt. I'm throwing dirt. I miss that dirt. Gotta get back to I'm a dirt trackaholic. Call it what you call it. Saturday night, I am so Kenny Wallace on that dirt. Gotta get back to it. Of the rap game. Ever since I hit him with that track thing. Now nationwide, everybody knows my name. They're like, Mama, that's Kenny Montgomery. He sings that song we like. Yeah, boy, that's me. Roll like the trailer, I'm flossing. Them Hoosier tires glossing. Them cold kind, we're tossing. They know I came to wreck it, yet I rarely bring out a caution. I hit the high side, boy, I park it for Brian Clausen. I do them like Kyle Larson. Watch me throw them sliders. Party in Victory Lane, and y'all boys ain't invited. Your mama gets excited when I pull up to unload. Even your grandpa talking about, man, that boy too cold. We don't sit on 24s, we don't ride on spinners. I'm posted up on them 15s with platinum dirt defenders. Got kids up in my window like, hey Mo, are you gonna win it? Yeah, I hope y'all brought some stamps, cause y'all know I'm about to send it on there. Dirt. I'm all about that dirt. I'm throwing dirt. I miss that dirt. Gotta get back to I'm a dirt trackaholic. Call it what you call it. Saturday night, I am so Kenny Wallace on that dirt. I miss that dirt. Gotta get back to it. I just won hot laps for the third week. Lil Dave said he thinks we're in the first heat. So I go and check the board on my bike, sitting outside pole. Y'all know what it's looking like. W.
Well, here we are, another Thursday night for Above the Cushion, the official radio show of Humboldt Speedway and 81 Speedway under the FOE banner. In the studio tonight with me is Stu Puls from Bumper. Is it Bumper to Bumper or is it Automotive Jobbers Automotive?
Well, I'm with Jobbers Automotive Warehouse.
Okay.
Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts.
Okay, there we go. And you know, of course, a great sponsor here at the racetrack. You came in and we're talking to John Allen about the scoreboard. Of course, there's a couple things that we were all of our race fans wanted us to keep. Of course, the the two water towers we wanted us to keep, but we couldn't because they were just in such disrepair. And then I think there was a few death threats over the scoreboard, which is a staple here at the Speedway. Of course, it stands there in turn one, and then what an iconic scoreboard that is. So here tonight, got a few housekeeping notes need to take care of from everybody at FOE Enterprises. Of course, we got to thank the sponsors here at the show, the Auto Medic, 316-260-8352. Go down there and see the crew at the Auto Medic. Get your oil change, tires rotated, brakes. If you need the engine or transmission replaced in your car, they take care of that. Also a BG Product Center. If you need to get some 44K, some MOA stuff for your automotive BG products, go down there and see them. Of course, the Uhlik Music down on 2160 East Douglas, right across from East High. If you need anything, a guitar, amplifier, drum set, if you want to start your own podcast, anything like that, go down and see the folks at Uhlik Music. From the higher ups at FOE Enterprises, of course, we want to, it's race season. We're about 14 days away from King of America over at Humboldt. You had told John that you hadn't been over to Humboldt in a while, so we'll have to get you over there. Sure. And see what's going on. Great facility, of course. King of America going to happen March 7th. We're going to throw competitive green flag laps. Of course, March 6th, we will have practice and kind of get everybody acquainted. Going to be some stuff coming out, some flyers and some other stuff. So be on the lookout for that on the Facebook page. March 7th, 8th, and 9th for King of America over at Humboldt Speedway. I got to go back because Jeremy and I were talking last week that there wasn't a repeat winner for King of America. I was wrong. Yeah. So I publicly admit I was wrong. So Ryan Gustin is a two-time king at Humboldt, not a back-to-back. He won it a couple years apart, but Ryan Gustin going to be the Reaper. Ryan Gustin going to be the only one to win to be crowned the king twice over at Humboldt. So we'll have to see if the tradition of new winners continues this year, or if we're going to see a repeat winner. Of course, Dan Ebert, King 12 from last year. Also, practice coming up here at 81 Speedway on March 2nd, and then Sunday on March 3rd over at Humboldt. So that's just next weekend.
Wow.
It's hard to believe it's already March.
It feels like spring, but
Oh, I know.
weather can change.
You got to
so,
just
like,
wait in
you
Kansas
just-
5 minutes. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
January seemed like it went forever. February's flew by, and here we are in March, and it's race season. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Also, on March 30th, I'm gonna have the World of Outlaws in town. You had mentioned you were kind of marking that one on your calendar. You wanted to get out here and see the Outlaws here at the track.
I'm a big sprint car fan, so
Yeah.
you get the 410s out here like that, World of Outlaws and your High Limit. Those
Yep.
are must-see events.
Two pretty good shows we're gonna have here.
Absolutely.
Of course, the High Limit Series gonna visit us on May 1st. That's a what is that, a Wednesday night show?
Yep.
Wednesday night show. So, kind of the traditional High Limit show, going to be on a Wednesday night, Big Pang show. Kyle Larson's already committed that he will be here. So that's going to be a good one. Of course, like we said, March 30th, the World of Outlaws will be in town as well. Zero wind. We've called for zero wind. We can't have another replay of what happened in October there, but
that wouldn't be good.
that's a bad deal. And then, kind of the first real race that's going to happen here, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, is the Enduro race on March 16th.
Many a year since I've watched an Enduro.
Well, we'll have to have you out. Broadway Truck and Auto, the Godfather 150 laps or 2 hours, whichever one comes first. I would like everyone to know we've never came up against the time limit. We've always hit the lap count, so that's a good one. And then open practice for all classes on March 16th here. So practice going to kick off just next weekend. We're going to take a weekend off. We got a few things to do, of course, over at Humboldt, and then we'll be back the following weekend with the Broadway Truck and Auto Godfather 150 Enduro, with practice to follow after that. Want everyone to get signed up for the Enduro. If you need a car, contact our friends over at Broadway Truck and Auto Salvage up here just north of the Speedway. They can get you fixed up with a car to race. Want to make sure we got enough cars. I'd like to see 100 cars. I remember when I was a kid, they have an Enduro. There'd be 100 cars out here.
Yeah, I mean, last one I was at was like about 80 or something like that. So it's crazy.
I think we're a little bit down on the car count right now, so we want to pump that up. So Godfather 150, get that car ready to go. You just only got about less than a month to get that handled. As far as your outlaw tickets going to go, worldofoutlaws.com is going to be your ticket source. So get on the worldofoutlaws.com. You can also, if you go to the 81 Speedway website, click on the event link on the schedule. It takes you to a link to take you to the worldofoutlaws.com. Same thing with the High Limit. It's called the Kansas Clash. It's pretty good name there. So, of course, High Limit, it's highlimitracing.com, I believe. Let me click on the link here, take you to it. So, yep, High Limit Racing tickets something. HighLimitRacingTickets.com going to be the source for everything. So all those tickets went for the High Limit and the Outlaws, going through either the Outlaws or the High Limit series. So no tickets here at this. You'll be able to buy tickets day of event, but if you want to buy pre-tickets, you got to get on there
or pit passes if you want to go to the
pits. Of course, pit passes always day of show. That nothing's in advance for the pit passes. You talked about that with John Allen that you got for when the late models were in town.
Yep,
you walk through the pits. That's an experience.
It's worth it for people to spend the extra money. You've got great seating off of turn 2. You can walk and see the drivers, see them work on the cars. It's so fascinating to see what they do. And then those outlaw late models are just fabulous to watch.
Yeah. That's Jeremy and I's thing. We're all about the late models. So we're excited. Quite a few late models on the schedule this year.
It's cool. If you're sitting off of turn 2, you see them go down the back stretch and there's a little bit of hump coming off of 2, and you don't see it from the front stretch.
Right.
it was really fun to see the suspension and things work on those late models like that.
It's that crossover right there where they come off
Yep.
turn 3, and that crossover creates a little bit of a driving point. So sometimes they get a little bit loose, sometimes they hit a few stuff. So like you said, and then of course you got the D shape going down the backstretch, so you can see them really arc it down into 3. Also have pit side party spots.
Yes.
So just to the north of the grandstand there, you can pay a little bit extra, park your truck in there. I've had my brother-in-law and his dad, they got the truck in there, got the 2 lawn chairs and some drinks, and had one heck of a time at the Outlaw show in last April.
Great advantage to watch a race. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the only thing, unfortunately, you can't see is the scoreboard, but it's worth it.
We were trying to work on that when you got here. We were trying to work on that deal. That's a big thing. When FOE bought Humboldt, there's no scoreboard.
Yep.
Over there. So every time I go over there, I'll always text JR and be like, "Hey, the scoreboard didn't show up. There's no scoreboard again." And that
you have to count on your fingers the number of laps.
If you know him, you get a little advertised emoji back, but he's always fun to mess with. But yeah, that's one thing about the 2 speedways that everyone talks about is the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Wish you had the scoreboard over at Humboldt. And then sometimes we run into it here, where a traveling series will come in and their transponders won't relay to the scoreboard. So when you're walking through, everyone's like, "Scoreboard's not working." I'm like, yeah, because they use a different system, and it's a bad deal.
Yeah, if you can keep lap count up there, it helps on that. But yeah, the transponders and everything has changed.
Oh yeah,
the way that really works. But it is the way they've done it. Outside of kind of blocking turn 2 at times.
Yeah.
Which, being a sponsor, I don't really mind too much. You got eyes on me, so
yeah, 100%. So going, we talked about 81 going over to Humboldt. Of course, we talked about practice on March 3rd. All classes welcome to get in on that. And then the following, basically Wednesday, March 6th, we're going to have practice for King of America. 7th, 8th, and 9th is King of America. The following weekend going to be another practice session. So the next 2 weekends after King of America going to be 2 practice sessions in a row. We are closed at the end of March, and then we will kick off Battle of the Bull Ring April 10th. So quite a few big shows happening over at Humboldt. Also want to just talk about, you had mentioned kind of the last time you were at Humboldt was for an NCRA modified show.
I believe so. Yeah.
We have, of course, our friends RacingDirt.com are taking care, are kind of sponsoring the Heartland Modified Tour Series. Yes. With the USRA cars, and we've really, that's kind of like the new era NCRA. It's pretty good money. You've already got quite a few good racers commit to the series, so that one's going to be good. And of course, they're going to debut over at Battle of the Bull Ring on Friday and Saturday night. So 2 complete shows for Heartland Modified Tour Series. So love to have you over for that if you can make it. I'm sure we can probably work on getting you up in the tower or something.
Just give me the company chopper and just fly me over.
Yeah, I think we got a broken drone we can probably get. I don't know if you're gonna get anywhere with that one.
Hang on tight. Yeah, that'll be a good show. I mean, that Heartland Modified Tour looks to be pretty exciting, and it's not really a step below USMTS, but it gives some of the local guys a better chance to compete.
Little bit more money. I think it pays a pretty good, if you're the champion, I think it pays pretty good on that end too. Yeah. Of course, our 2022 track champion, Tad Davis, has already committed that he's going to run the full tour. So we're excited for Tad. We didn't get to see Tad much this year. He had quite a few motor problems, but I think they got it together this year, stocked up a few, and they're ready to go. So we're excited to see that happen. Well, that's kind of, got one more thing. Hiring here at 81 Speedway. Katie texted me this earlier. If you're looking for a seasonal job here at the Speedway, we're hiring a few positions. You can call the Speedway office, 316-755-1781. Also, there is some information on Facebook. If you're looking for a seasonal job here at 81 Speedway, go ahead and contact us for that. But want to kind of get to why you're here tonight, and just a long time supporter of dirt track racing, and especially here at 81 Speedway. And you know, kind of, I heard you mention it when you came in. You asked your boss when exactly the Bumper to Bumper got involved here at 81 Speedway, of course with the Hall family, and I think you said the mid 90s.
Yeah, best I can figure is right at 30 years.
Okay.
Give or take a year or two.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember coming out here for the All Pro Fall Classic back before we became Bumper to Bumper.
Okay.
And yeah, I've worked with the company now for 17 and a half years. So about 2006, something like that when I came on board. But as a race fan, just coming out here and seeing the Fall Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Bumper to Bumper has been out here, seems like forever. And it's been a great relationship. And I've noticed other sponsors have been through here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty remarkable when you have a place like a Speedway to have steady sponsors like that
Mm-hmm.
are not nationally, you know, backed by big money.
Right.
Because while we are a national organization, we're not backed by a lot of big money. It's all
Right.
local comes
stuff.
out of Jobbers Automotive Warehouse, and part of our affiliation is with the Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts flag.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you guys are the premier Wix filters supply.
We do,
is big
yes,
in
yeah.
racing.
Wix is they're one of the few that I know. There's a few. If you walk through the pits, you'll see a few others out there, but Wix is one of the predominant ones. Very excellent filter for racing, for your street car, truck. They even do filters for agricultural usage and irrigation systems and such. So pretty massive operation that they run.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the automotive parts industry, and how did you end up? Did you first go to work for All Pro, or has it always been Jobbers?
It's always been Bumper to Bumper since I've been there.
Okay.
They switched over. It was All Pro, and then you have what is the Automotive Aftermarket Parts Association, or Alliance, and we call it the Alliance. And it's a conglomerate of 50 some independently owned warehouses, of which we're one,
Mm-hmm.
that make up this for buying power and getting better deals in automotive parts. We have internationally, we got not only North America, you got South America, Central America, Europe, with I think TMOT, and some of those others are all part of it and contribute to it. So it helps in getting the buying power to get, whether it be Wix filters or Gates belts or hoses or anything like that. So we were independently owned, and the warehouse goes back to, gosh, maybe the 50s or even earlier.
Wow.
Big old Western. I don't even remember what it was. Nobody at the warehouse could kind of remember. You know, no one's been around that long. But I know we were All Pro, and then it was late 90s, early 2000s. They merged with, it was All Pro, Auto Value, and Bumper to Bumper.
Okay.
And so you went like that for a while. And then it kind of got to the point of branding.
Right.
You need to choose. Well, Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper had their favorites, and no one wanted to go to one name. So now it is Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper are the same group.
Okay.
But we dropped All Pro, and so you had to choose one or the other. And we went with Bumper to Bumper back in, like I said, late 90s, early 2000s. One name that people remember probably here in Wichita is Garnett Auto Supply.
Yeah.
And they've been around forever. They're a part of the warehouse. Now we typically go by Bumper to Bumper instead of the Garnetts. But Leonard Garnett, I believe, is who started that. And there used to be a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who people in Wichita remember. So that's kind of how we came about. I started, like I said, about 17 and a half years ago. It was already Bumper to Bumper. So that's all I've known, other than,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I remember All Pro, the image, and coming out here and seeing it.
Right.
But since I've been here, that's all I know. We've been involved with it long before I I came on board as a marketing coordinator.
Right.
So,
And so where did you start as a marketing coordinator for Bumper to Bumper, or did you start pulling Wix filters off the shelves for the trucks?
I was an anomaly. I started as the marketing coordinator.
Okay.
I had uh, got my master's degree from Wichita State in sports administration,
Okay.
and I was looking in sports field, but they were looking for a marketing coordinator, and one thing led to another. And I said in my interview, I said, listen, I know what an alternator does. I know spark plugs. I know where they're at on the engine. But if you want me to take that engine apart and put it back together, you're walking. And they said, no. We just need you to be able to do flyers and be
Yeah.
able to sell. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I love events management, and that,
Mm-hmm.
we do quite a bit of that with car shows and,
Mm-hmm.
the racetrack. And we used to do customer night up at Mayetta when they had the track up
Mm-hmm.
there, and some other places that we've done that. So drag racing, car shows. I think we put our name on about everything we can.
Yeah.
As far as sponsoring event, we don't do too much in the way of sponsoring local cars, but we have people who will sponsor our stores. We'll sponsor with Wix filters, sponsor some guys, and help them out like that. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. A big thing that people don't realize, kind of just the average fan, is how much these guys change their oil on the race cars. Um, I remember, when my uncle was racing, he changed oil like every
Just about
night.
every
Yeah,
every week.
he'd run a night and they'd change oil. Now the oil and filters, they've got a little more advanced, and some guys will go 2 or 3 nights, but that's about it. So
Yeah.
if you run 40 nights a week and you're changing it every 2, that's 20 oil changes. It adds up pretty quick.
It does, especially with the filters, and Wix makes a great racing filter. But when you have, um, some of those guys want to change it after every race. Some
Right.
want to, like you said, every couple races. But you make the decision on whether you want to spend the money for a racing filter or just use a regular
Right.
car filter. There's a little bit different in the media and how it's made and the amount of dirt it's going to extract from the oil and such. But yeah. If you're running a car like that and you want to be competitive, you're going to be changing it quite often. Just because of what you could get into if not.
Because we've seen in the racing industry, we've seen a lot of part shortages.
Yep.
There's some guys. I can think of one, a late model racer, who's had an engine getting worked on for 2 years just because they can't get parts. So I'm sure that you guys have also felt that in your business when everything, because it wasn't. I think my dad said it was just like 4 years ago here in the next couple of weeks that the world completely turned upside down.
COVID really put a halt to a lot of automotive, the aftermarket, and a lot of parts do come from China, and reps don't want to talk about it, but they are made to their specs, and for the most part, if you're smart, you get good auto parts like that. People want to put them, find them here and made in America and things, or Mexico. You can do that. It's a lot better now than it was. You still have certain aspects. Even Wix was struggling recently with some things, and seemed like that's corrected and righted. And then you had like the grease fire, and
Oh yeah,
a couple of years ago, and that was 40% of the grease was made there. So it's really trying to find red and tacky grease really hard to do. Some of that stuff you can get it in the bigger barrels, but trying to find a tube or a 1 pound, 4 pound tub, you just can't.
Yeah.
It's getting better. I know Lucas Oil's making their own grease plant. Will be up and operating soon this year, which I think will be a benefit to everybody, certainly to them, but be a benefit to everybody to have a nice flow of grease on that. But yeah, that COVID really made a major dent in things. And I mean, you had tires.
Yeah.
The tire wars and where you'd be going to be able to race or not if you had enough tires.
Yeah, because I think it was, I can't remember exactly, because American Racer had an emergency at their facility, who of
Mhm.
course, is most of what USRA uses, the American Racer. They had I can't remember if that was before COVID or right after COVID. They had a situation at their factory, and they kind of had to shut down for a couple weeks. And then as far as a racetrack goes, from the leadership, John Allen and JR and Katie and everyone, they're like, okay, like during this, intermission, I want everyone out on the track. We have to make sure nothing is laying on the track. Everyone's watching the track. We kept, we actually prepped the track a little bit different just to make sure we didn't wear out tires, because, some of those guys, they, we don't want everyone to have to go buy a round of tires every single week. So we're trying to do everything we can to get as much out of it, because tires were just getting scarce. It was a rough time.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that as well here. I thought we were on the right track, and
Right.
and we're starting to hear a little bit more rumblings of parts shortages here and there, but nothing has come to fruition yet. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's nothing more than false rumors, because it puts you in a bind when you've got farmers in western Kansas needing a certain filter, and uh, you can't get it from Wix, you can't get it from competitors or any place, and you're like, how's this going to work?
As far as the marketing goes, you've probably seen a whole turn in marketing, because when you started, there wasn't social media. There wasn't any of that exposure. So it, kind of talk about, because I'm from the era, I'll be 40 years old this year. So I remember a time there wasn't social media, but now, as far as the racetrack and stuff goes, we heavily depend on social media to get our partners out there, to get events out there. Kind of talk about how that's turned for you in the last 17 years.
Yeah, I could think of when we were doing the fall classic in October there. You had one year when it was raining. Back for really, they had a website,
Mm-hmm.
but most people didn't. So we were telling people, you got to make sure you call the track before you come out. And we'd have people come out here and get all mad because well, why'd they cancel?
Right.
Well, now you don't even think about it. You look at your phone and you can see whatever platform you use, you see it, whether it be Facebook or even the website and things. It's changed in how you reach people. If you go out and look at spark plugs or something, and whether it's on your computer, your desktop, or on your phone, well, next thing you know, you're on Facebook, and all of a sudden you see these ads pop up for spark plugs, and oh, hey, by the way, you're going to need some boots to go with that,
Right.
And just the way they can reach people and zero in and get your point across. You got podcasts or events like this that really you can drill down and do,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people will do that. So for us, it hasn't changed. We don't do too much of anything like that. I wish in some ways we probably should.
Mm-hmm.
Manpower becomes an issue,
Right.
pricing and cost on some of that. Main thing is the manpower, but I'm old school. I like to do the one-on-one. I like to do the let's go out and meet at the car show and talk right there versus do it via the computer. So that's just me personally. I'm old school enough in that, but yeah, you look at what's going on and who's doing what on social media and how they're reaching people, and it you would never thought it even 5 years ago on that. I mean, you've got a competitor, like you can call up and or go online and order parts, and you don't have to leave your home. You don't have to go down to the parts store and do that. You just, okay, I need this alternator. I'll just have it shipped here,
Oh yeah.
So it has raised for us. Well, it used to be just box stores or competitors, um, now you've got internet competitor competition, and they usually will undercut. They're not tied into pricing or anything. So people are like, oh, I get a great deal on that.
Right.
How do you combat that somewhat? But yeah, so it's been interesting, and going forward, it's definitely a challenge.
Because you get some, like you said, there's some people that they don't have, it's just a warehouse full of parts. They don't have brick and mortar stores with people you come in and talk to. Someone just laying there 9 o'clock at night and point, click, and pay, and it shows up. But that's not always sometimes the best. Sometimes you got to get in front of those customer service experts that you guys have at Bumper to Bumper and find out exactly what you need. Because like you said, it's not just the spark plug. It could be a couple other things that you really need to have to make sure that you get it right.
And you said customer service. We've talked about we're in the automotive aftermarket parts business, auto parts business, but we're really customer service champions. That's really what our counter people do. I mean, when you have people who've been working for you for 35, 40 plus years, that's a lot of knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Not only of the local city cars you may see here in Wichita, but out in the western Kansas, which is a lot of predominantly our sales is agricultural. So you don't replace that. We have a lot of guys who still want paper catalogs. Well, you don't get those hardly at all anymore due to cost and inefficiency. It's so much easier to do it just website, just click and it's there. But it's tough to train an old dog new tricks sometimes on that. But the customer service is what we really need to emphasize and what we try to emphasize, because you may not be able to compete on an internet basis,
right?
But you can compete by giving them your knowledge. When they come in, say, you're going to need this to go with that. You need a tensioner and a pulley rather than just give you the belt. Have you thought about this side or that? And a good counter person is going to do that. And that we have found is worth the weight in gold. And is worth, sitting around ordering that part. Well, that's great. But what happens if it comes defective? What happens if you're like me and you put it on wrong or something like that? Where do you take it? You have to get you have to get a return and send it back, or you bring it down to the parts store and you say, so it's a challenge, but there's ways around that challenge. It's ways to rise above it. And the businesses, not just auto parts, but the businesses that are meeting that and offering customer service are really starting to thrive now post-COVID world.
Yeah, because being fortunately, I was part of the, fortunately or unfortunately, I haven't figured out which one, but I was part of the essential needed workers in the world. So I still got up and went out every day. But there's some people that they locked inside, and so now they want to go meet people, and especially if you're cars today are so complicated. Like I have a 2500 Silverado diesel truck, and all I wanted to do was change the headlight on it. Well, I had to take the airbox, everything out. I didn't even get the airbox back in there right. I wore a hole in a coolant hose, and then I had to have my friends over at the Automedic fix it, because I was like, I'm not small enough to get in here and work on this. So the car parts have changed so much, just of the evolution of cars and how dependent they are on electronics. And that has to play into the customer service part of it at the stores.
Absolutely. We offer a lot of training to our parts store, to the counter people and to the installers and technicians. They have to know so much more now than just a simple basic what to do, like you talked about there, knowing what you have to take off to change a headlight or even the battery anymore. And as you evolve into the electrified vehicles and such, that everybody's kicking and screaming and don't want to have anything to do with, but hey, they're here, whether they stay here or not, it's irrelevant. You're going to have to replace some of the stuff on it. So you need to take classes, you need to study on that. We used to talk about a shade tree mechanic or the do-it-yourselfer. I go out and change the headlight in my car, and I'm like, it's something that used to take 10 minutes to do. Now I'm a half hour in, and I'm like, okay, time out. We're going for a beer. This is nuts.
You sometimes YouTube's your greatest friend.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh, I was, when I parked this car, I was supposed to crank the wheels all the way to the right, and then I can get this thing out that I need to move this other thing, and it's crazy.
And now these engines all have so many sensors and computer chips, and you've got to watch how you unhook them, how you hook them back up, where they're located, and stuff. And it's beyond my concept to want to deal with. I remember changing spark plugs on my old 77 Firebird, and I wouldn't even want to even touch my Taurus now.
kind of talk about your guys' involvement here at the Speedway and what that it means a great deal to us to have you guys. I know it was a little scary. The Hall family, the FOE comes in, they buy the Speedway from the Hall family, and then here's this whole new marketing team and everyone approaching you guys, and that has to be a little bit scary because you're thinking, well, who are these people and what are they going to do this Speedway and what, so kind of talk about, and at the end of 19 and 20, and we keep talking about the 2020, but, just kind of talk about that and when FOE came in and what your guys' thoughts were. And then, ultimately you guys decided to stay here with us, kind of talk about that decision.
Yeah, we had obviously a great relationship with C. Ray and the crew and Warren Hardy and Melissa, and everybody helped us out greatly when we do events and just renewing sponsorship. So yeah, Warren had called me and told me there was going to be a sale happening, which shocked a lot of people, but I kind of was anticipating it, but you never know. There's that, okay, are they going to come in and just say, okay, we're bulldozing your scoreboard. We're going to put up one on the back straightaway. It's going to be sponsored by blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, if they do that, they do that. And, we know what our budget is. We know where we're at. And if we can stay within that, we're good. If not, then we'll figure out something else. And for us, and for me personally, it was about getting our customers, when we bring them out here for our event, letting them come experience racing. It's about food. It's about being together, but I'm a passionate race fan first and foremost, and have been that way since I was a kid when my dad would drag me to the racetrack and say, sit here and watch, and I'd want to run and do some other things like most kids do. But there was that. You were like, okay, what's going to happen? But when we came out and met with Johnny and talked to him and then with Katie and everything was like, well, we're going to try to keep everything roughly the same and do this. And we want you to be here. And it was reassuring and it's a little easier. I like the scoreboard. I'm partial to it. But,
yeah, we are too.
And when I come out, I always want to make sure it's working. The lights are on and things. But that was, once I got past that, once we met, it was like, okay, that's good. We're good now. It's just a matter of doing our event. And that's a work in progress. And I don't know, maybe we're still one of the few people that you have out here nowadays. I don't know. And I know it used to be, it seemed like every week they had someone out here when Melissa and Warren were kind of leading that up. And so I kind of feel like in some ways I'm like, well, that's kind of new, but I look at what we're doing this year. We got away from the Fall Classic back in the day because we had about a string of 3 straight years of bad weather. And
it happens.
Our crowd I said, well, I can't control the weather, but our crowd was like, we want to go do something where it's warm. So we moved to August and we were a part of the USAC Southwest Tour coming through and running the non-wing, and our crowd loved it. And so I've been kind of trying to stick with warmer weather. Yeah. And unfortunately, I got it cranked up too hot the last couple of years when Mother Nature again, 105 degrees last year. I can't do anything about that, but
it was rough.
So this year I was pretty excited and talking to Katie about it. And I want our people to come out and see it. Cause as I told C-Ray one time, if we have people who come out this, the only time they're going to come out to the 81, this is our event. It's an opportunity for them to experience racing, and it's an opportunity for 81 to be able to win a new fan, right? Which is a benefit for everybody.
Oh, 100%
on that. So I still believe that and still want to do that. And we have people who bring their kids out, and they'll used to do funnel cakes and such, and just have a great time. And I remember my boss, first time he got to see sprint cars, his eyes got real big. He's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I was like, I know.
Yeah. So I brought you out here.
That's why I still, when I thought about it, I still want to do something like that. So I was looking at the schedule, and September 28th was open, and I know that's championship night.
It is.
And that's a great night.
Awesome night.
You crown the season-long champions, but you get to recognize all the men and women who have worked so hard throughout the year out here racing and pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and racing is a passion. And I have so much appreciation for the drivers, young and old, and just coming out here and showing us, because it's not easy.
No.
I mean, I can't imagine crawling behind the wheel and saying, I'm going to go out there and do this.
Mm-hmm.
You may think, okay, well, I'm in a mini stock. I'm not going but about 45, 50 mile an hour. Well, okay, get in the sprint car, run 110 or more into the corner.
Yeah.
I remember talking to my daughter about, she was like, why do they turn right when they go to the corner? I'm like, because if you don't, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But you can't explain it to someone unless they've actually been on the track or
turn right to go left. You get a little, some people, you say that sometimes people are like, what are you talking about?
When you come out here and you watch the modifieds hang it right up against the wall.
Oh yeah.
Just inches from the wall and inches from each other. There's so much control.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I appreciate that. And as a fan of racing, just to see that, it's kind of like watching Daytona the other day. They're racing 3 wide.
Right.
And outside of the lap 5 shenanigans, you went the whole race until the very end with no wrecks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is, on TV, you're like, well, that's kind of boring. 200 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour running like that. That's car control. That's ability.
You kind of talked about, of course, we have a partnership with racingdirt.com.
Mm-hmm.
You got your dad a membership to racingdirt.com. We appreciate that. And watching it on TV is way different. So
absolutely,
watching NASCAR on TV is way different than like when my uncle took me to Talladega and you watch it. And I mean, it's a completely different thing. So if you like watching it on racingdirt.com, get out here to the Speedway and watch it live.
Yeah. The speed, you just can't do it justice. What goes on, and you only see snippets of it on streaming. I think it's a great way to go if you're unable to get out, and like predominantly with my dad, not wanting him to drive at night,
right?
So he can stay home and watch it. But he's been out here, he's experienced it, he knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a phenomenal way to be able to watch the race. And if you can't be there, but by all means, if you can be here.
Oh, absolutely.
And honestly, for a regular Saturday night show, it's a cost of a movie.
It's a little cheaper than a movie,
and if you're going to take 2 people, then it's
right.
It's a great entertainment value. And when you come out, you see people who come out with colored shirts to support their local driver, their family members. I don't really have an allegiance or tie into anybody, so I just sit there and watch it. I've been one of those guys that sits in the stands. I cheer, I cuss and discuss. I'm one of those that see a great race and a clap, and then the other ones turn around going, "Why is the track so dry?" I'm a typical fan in that. So I appreciate that. You sit in the stands and you just watch or look at people, and we talked about, we're in the automotive business, but we are customer service here. And you're racing, but you're really entertainment business.
Right.
And so when you come, expect to be entertained, and you need to be entertained.
Oh, absolutely.
And you see it when you talk about High Limit and some of the things they're going to be doing during the show to entertain fans and keep them involved is really cool. I watched that the other night. In fact, I got one on tonight on flow racing.
Yep, they're in Georgia somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Right tonight. So you talked about it, of course, September 28th, bumper to bumper Wix filters night here at the Speedway, coupled with the weekly championship points finale. Always a great time, of course, having bumper to bumper here. You guys bring an amazing crowd. You always bring some koozies with you that they hand out at Tie Rod Tavern, which the race fans they appreciate, they love, and we never find any. Because I'm down in the infield, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check under the stands when I get done, and I'll get one, and I never can get me one, so I have to get them from the girls. But of course, that night, all of the divisions gonna run your alternative pest management USRA modifieds, your BSB manufacturing USRA B mods, JLR property management 316 modifieds, your TM fencing LLC super stocks, your Rage Jerky mini stocks, and then Allied Energy and Battery Incorporated stock cars. So a couple new sponsors this year for a couple of our racing divisions. We had Auto Tech Service Center and Hey Glassman .com stock cars for a long time, but they didn't want to come back, so we got a couple new ones. So we're excited about that this year. But of course, all those divisions going to be on bumper to bumper Wix filters night here at the Speedway.
That'll be great. I've got some time. I'm hoping to do something, big, so we can at least reward some of the winners and do some things to really spice up our crowd that comes and try to get, back in the day, I used to get in trouble because I'd break the bank. I'd bring more people than what we were budgeted for. My boss would get mad at me. So that's my goal again this year is to do that and get people out here to enjoy it. You pray for weather like we've had here last couple days. And I'm excited for that, but you got to get the season started first before you worry about wrapping it up. And you got that coming up, and it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. So before we got on the air, you and I were kind of chit chatting, and you had mentioned that your dad was a racer, and that's kind of, we always wonder, guests that we have on here, how did you even get into this? Like, how did for me, I was born in it. My uncle raced. I've been around it my whole life, and some people, they're just like, I went to bumper auto one night, and then the next day all of a sudden I had a race car, and 50 years later here I am. I got to blame it all on Stu. He got me into the race car. So you were kind of born in it. Talk about some of that.
Yeah, my dad, my dad's dad, my grandpa, who I unfortunately never knew, got his 4 boys involved in racing early on, racing 3/4 midgets.
Oh, okay.
And so they would race over in Hutch and surrounding area, Newton, and some of the places. And so Dad was always tinkering with cars and racing. And he got, when he worked for Dillon's at the time, moved over here to Wichita, he got hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Lloyd Edmonds, who are next door neighbor. And they built, I don't know how many years they raced Simulates out here. It was I just remember a yellow 55 or 56 Chevy, depending on the year, number 34.
Okay.
And they would do some things there. I know Dad talks about how they put the seat in the middle of the car rather than off to one side or the other for safety features. But I was so small, I don't remember ever coming out and seeing him race. And he raced there. And then when he got out of that, he did come back, though it's been several years now. He had an old Thumper that he brought out and raced once or twice, and then got into an antique sprint car, a Nance sprint car that he did with Kansas Antique Racers for a while.
Great group that comes here to the Speedway.
When you talk about history, and you were saying you're kind of a nostalgia history buff, and I love looking at those old cars up close, watching them on the track, and just remembering or thinking back to what it was, what it was like. So it's really cool to see that. But yeah, he raced out here for a little while, and until he had an accident one night, and then it was we had to remember that he had a family at home that he had to take care of. So we need to back out of the driving part. But he's always been a gearhead and done things like that. So he's responsible for bringing me to the track, and I don't remember my first memories, probably late 70s, early 80s, going out to the track. I wasn't there for the 74 fire at the fairgrounds at the Nationals, but he was there, and he can tell you all about it. And I've heard the stories from not only him, but a lot of people that were there. But my first memories are early 80s and seeing just the early 80 late models and the super modifieds. I'm old enough to remember watching Harold Leap and Frankie Lees and Jerry Stone race the old super modifieds, and then go back and see, remember Clay Bontrager and Don Hauserman and Larry Phillips and those guys that raced the late models back then. I have an affection for early 80s late models. I think they were just killer cars.
Yeah.
It was great looks to them back before they kind of went wild with all the NDRA and things like that.
Body's got a little wide and a little tall.
Your plexiglass there kind of.
Man, if you were a plexiglass dealer back in the day, boy, you were loving it.
But I just love seeing those cars up close and going to it. And there's something about the speed, just like I said, some people don't get it, but for me, I got it. It was my time as a kid to spend time with my dad, but boy, I just developed a love affair for watching the cars, and never really had the desire to get behind a wheel. And my wife made sure when we got married that I was not going to get behind the wheel. And I said, that's fine. Just let me go. I'll experience it and have a good time and watch it from the stands, you know?
Yeah. I'm a, you know, not, I've been busy, all my life trying to build a life, working and doing lots of things. So I'm getting a little older now. So racing's not in the cards for me, but I got a 4-year-old son. So, I got 3 daughters and then a 4-year-old son. So probably my youngest daughter and my son, maybe I can get it wound up for them too. But, for me, I wouldn't mind getting an enduro car doing something,
Yeah.
but the 40 nights a year, 80 nights a year, whatever some of them do, just not in the cards for me. But, when you talk about the antique racer stuff, I'm not, I never saw those cars race. I'm not quite that old. But when they're here at the Speedway and we talk about the names and who built the car and where it came from, and of course I had Don Renfro on
Mhm.
last season on Above the Cushion, and he was part of the Antique Racers Association, had a car for a little bit, and just to I always tell people when they're here, go down in the pits and look at
Yeah.
them. When the races are over, go look at those cars, because a lot of them they take them years to put them together because they're using uh, you know period era correct parts. They're not just
Yeah.
unfortunately, they're not going down to bumper to
Yeah.
bumper
You're
and
not going
buying
to
what's on
find,
the shelf.
not going to find those spindles down there. No.
Yeah, but they're quite the treasure to look at, and it's fun to have those cars and be kind of just go back in time to what it was, because every once in a while you'll get someone with a Nance sprint car, and they'll put a containment seat in it just because they want to be a little bit safer when
Sure.
they're hot lapping. But then there's some of them that they just got an old airplane bomber seat in there and a cross belt, and then because that's what it was.
Yeah.
you know um Kind of we're getting about the hour mark. Kind of talk about um you know just all the car things that you do, and does it, are you each year, or do you get excited for what else you could do for bumper to bumper and with the car, kind of talk about that stuff.
Yeah. As far as like the car stuff, car shows and things, I like going to the car shows.
Hmm.
I'm not always, I got to admit, don't always like standing out there and at a booth for all day long, but
Gets hot.
it can be hot, it can be cold, it can be a lot of things, but I enjoy seeing the cars. And what I enjoy seeing is the passion. People
Hmm.
have a passion for their vehicle, whether it's be a race car or a street car, show car. So we do a lot of that, and I look forward to doing that. We'll be involved with a couple of those this year, where I'll be out, not just putting our name on,
Hmm.
a check or anything like that. Um, for me, I don't do too many of those events anymore. Not as many as we used to, and
Hmm.
some of that gets back to manpower. You got other
Right.
things going on, and we, like so many businesses after COVID, have struggled to keep people employed or find people for the warehouse, for everything that would allow you to become where you can get back to what you were before
Right.
on doing that. But I still get excited about when someone will call me about a car show or things, and I'll say, well, I can send you some goodie bags or something like that if it works out. And a lot of our stores in Western Kansas have
Hmm.
towns that have car shows or fairs or things
Hmm.
in that regard. Um, we do a little bit here and there where I can work with some of our vendors. And last year we had a couple of people that got to go up to the Kansas Speedway for a courtesy of Valvoline
Hmm.
and get to see the NASCAR Cup race, and they got to meet Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and
Nice.
oh, but their eyes were lighting up, and it's really kind of cool to hear their stories
Yeah.
on doing that. And we used to do up at Topeka Heartland Park for drag racing. We used
Hmm.
to take a group up there and do that, and we would have before my time, my boss would do it. We'd have couple hundred people up there.
Wow.
Back when you could do something like that, and it was sponsored with Gates, and
That's a group.
yeah, it was quite the undertaking from what I understand. And I got the chance to go up there when I first started there. We had a suite above the starting line.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
And so you'd be able to go there and watch the cars go down the track. Well, you'd have all the drivers come in because that was great vantage point. So you got to meet a lot of the drivers and go back to the pits and things. So kind of missed that. I'm going to miss Heartland Park on that. We had to back out because it just got cost prohibitive on some of that.
Yeah.
And that's where sponsorship is tough. I mean, you look at NASCAR and how quickly they're changing.
Oh yeah.
Wraps on the cars. Used to be, you knew the car was that way season long. Now you got to tune into J-Ski to see what paint scheme they've got for the week for what's coming up, So locally, that's probably where we're at, is a lot of car shows and just doing some of the races. There are some that we've re-upped that I probably don't even know about. Just, our president does some of those things, and I get to trickle down sometimes. Well, we're doing that. That's great.
That's tomorrow. That's
yeah. I don't have to go and travel near as much as I used to. I will here in a little over about 3 weeks get to travel the state, but that's something totally different. We do rollout meetings to entertain our customers. We give them a nice wine and dine them, and provide vendors an opportunity to reach out to them. So a little different format than being with cars, but it is about cars, about car parts and things they're going to sell and what's going to be popular out there. So
kind of in the bumper to bumper world, how many stores are out there?
We have, I believe, right at 59 or 60 stores that fly the bumper to bumper flag.
Quite a few.
We have 25 that are corporately company owned from Jobbers Automotive, and then the rest are all independently owned and operated. But we service probably 70 to 75 stores each night.
Wow.
Put over 7,000 miles a night on our delivery trucks.
Oof,
and we just added a new store in Atchison and looking at adding a couple more potentially out in southwest part of the state. So that would be good, because I'd much rather open a store than I would close it down.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of work that goes involved either way, but I prefer it to be when it's profitable for everybody on doing that. But we stay busy. Our warehouse is 108, I think it's a little over 108,000 square feet of space, 3 floors. We tease people about a 4th floor, but that would be the roof. So, but sometimes you wonder where you're going to put things on when we get new lines or something come in. But we do pretty good business and pretty good operation when you think about servicing 70 stores a night, making that delivery. We're back, let's say back in the day, a guy would call, I need this part. Okay, in 2 days you might have it.
Right.
Now it's not just good enough to call today and have it tomorrow at 5. It's, I want it tomorrow morning when I open my store.
Yeah, at 8 o'clock when the doors are opening.
Technicians and installers, they're working on the cars. They need something. They can't tell someone, well, it's going to take 2-3 days for that. I need to get that part, and I need to get it now so that I can fix my customer's car. And so that's where you make adjustments, and we do overnight delivery, and for the most part, it works really well. And it's amazing when you stop and think about how few people are working on it and how vast we have to.
Yeah.
Because we have stores predominantly here in Kansas, but we do have eastern Colorado, and then down in Oklahoma, a little bit Ponca City.
Okay.
Used to be a little bit over in Missouri in the St. Joe area at one time. So it's not just a small area. It's not just Wichita and surrounding area. It goes out.
Reaches pretty big.
It goes out to clear out to St. Francis. I mean, you think, hey, we're going to drive out to St. Francis, Kansas. Well, okay, 7 hours later, it seems like. But it's a lot wider and a lot more than what just local. Most people think it's just Wichita or surrounding areas, but what we do and when we make decisions for marketing impacts a wide variety of areas.
Right.
If you're going to do radio or TV, okay, we can hit central Kansas, but we can't hit western Kansas. We can't hit eastern Kansas. Well, that's not good enough. We got to do this the right way. So it impacts and sometimes limits what we can do. That's why social media is so important.
Right.
Because you can reach everybody instantaneously.
Right.
Whether it's YouTube, Facebook, website, whatever it is. You can do that instantaneously and reach people.
Yeah, because I'm not in charge of the social media stuff, but I do a lot of it, and every once in a while I'll get on there and look, and like Humboldt has about 25,000 page follows. Um, 81's about 27,500, but some of those people are in New York, Carolinas. We have people watching and paying attention to what we're doing here in Kansas from across the country. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, the reach is is awesome with social media, just to get your stuff out there.
And the connection for us is big because we're just Jobbers Automotive here in Kansas. Bumper to bumper and auto value goes nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got people, if they buy a part here in Beloit and they're unfortunate enough to have the part go bad and they're traveling through Florida, they can look up where the closest bumper to bumper auto value is, get that part exchanged if it's a default,
Right.
faulty part. You can find service centers that fly the flag, are certified service centers nationwide. You got a nationwide warranty for that.
That's awesome.
So it is a peace of mind. It's not just local. And my job is local, but when you're using the parts nationwide, that's why we are part of that aftermarket alliance, because it allows us to go nationwide and get a better deal, assist our customers. Like I said, it's about customer service, and
Right.
I want to know that the part I buy is going to be backed by the best warranty in the business.
That's right. Yeah, you referred to the team members, the front counter team as champions at Bumper to Bumper. They're there to take care of the customers that come in the door and make sure they have the right parts. They, like I said, they're not missing anything, and then go from there. So that team is awesome down there, and we hope everyone that needs anything visits the Bumper to Bumper. As far as racing this year, you kind of mentioned a few races that you want to get to. Kind of talk about. You mentioned sprint cars is your kind of your favorite, but as far as if you were just going to come out on a local night, what's kind of your favorite car to see?
I don't really, I guess, really have a favorite. I like to watch the modifieds, the A
Mhm.
mods, just when you throw in. But I really, last year really got me back to liking the stock cars. I always liked stock cars, and it kind of went by the wayside. Now a lot of people are building them. Great racing, just side by side, close racing, and it kind of is where I kind of circle that. So when
one.
I see the stock car is going to run, but I'm one of those. I if it's on 3 classes are running, I'll probably say, I'm gonna come out and watch 3 classes and be home early, but that's okay. I enjoy it just because you understand what goes into it. It's not just watching. To me, it's not about the speed. If you have 20 cars running 50 and 20 cars running 75 and they put on a great race, that's all you're going to talk about.
Right.
But yeah, I am. There are a couple races I've got circled. Like I said, the high limit and the extreme midget series, the extreme outlaw midgets I want to see. But regular Saturday nights, I love to come out and watch the modifieds run. Whether you're running the USRA or the 316, it doesn't really matter. I know they're basically the same car.
Right.
How much do you want to spend to be competitive
Yeah,
on some of that?
They pretty much are the exact same car. Some of it just comes down to years of experience. Like 316 is going to have kind of your rookies, your get-ins, your new racers, stuff like that, and then of course they'll go up and run with the US MTS when they come to town, or run with a regular alternative pest management.
I'll be excited when Heartland Modified Tour comes to town. In part because there's a lot of local guys, the local racers who work regular jobs and come out here and race, versus what you get on USMTS, where you've got professional tour racers that if they were to unload, you're kind of like, boy, I guess we're racing for second today. But I like, that's what I always liked about the NCRA. It was a lot of local people, and especially here when it kind of got into the 90s, early 2000s, you got more local. In the 80s and stuff is a lot more regional. But I just enjoy that because to me, whether it's a racer or whether it's a guy sitting in the stands, a fans in the stands, they share one thing in common. That's cars.
Mm-hmm.
Cars to get you to that track, whether it's towing your rig in or just bringing you. Those are the cars that we can address at Bumper to Bumper.
Right.
Your family roadster, the family truckster that Chevy Chase would drive, and we can address that.
Right.
We may not have all the parts you need for your race car, but we'll have stuff you need for that 250 F-250 that's towing the trailer.
Mhm.
We'll have it for your family sedan that's going to be getting you out here, or SUV, as most everything is anymore. But
Yeah.
those are the things. That's why I'm so interested in it, because I'm like, I walk out in event management. I look at everybody in the stands, and I'm like, these are all potential customers.
Right.
What do we need to do to bring them into that Bumper to Bumper store, whether it's Garnett Auto Supply here in Wichita, or Newton, or El Dorado, or Hutchinson, or uh, wherever they're coming from. Chanute, yep, Chanute.
Yeah, right over there. So there's a Bumper to Bumper by close to any of the FOE tracks, Humboldt Speedway, 81 Speedway, and like I said, whether they're in there to get a air freshener or some wiper blades, or they need a new alternator, they need a belt, whatever it takes to get them to the racetrack.
Absolutely,
make sure you're checking out that Bumper to Bumper.
Yeah, and they can, if they're not sure where one's at, you can go out to the website, the bumpertobumper.com, and you could type in your zip code and it'll show you the closest store.
Yep.
But I know in western Kansas, about every little town's going to have one. Eastern Kansas, it's still pretty close to that, And like I said, I was talking with Johnny Allen about their shop being right across the street from the Bumper to Bumper store there in Chanute, and so very, very familiar there.
And that actually, that's where Wendell started, was in the back of the Bumper to Bumper with the Allen's machine shop. Yeah, when he started. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
A little bit of history there. Well, kind of we like to talk, everyone that's been around the racetrack, when the Hall family was here and forever, and now with FOE Enterprises, we always like to just kind of get everyone's pulse on the development of what's going on. Of course, kind of the first thing, as far as a sponsor, you guys were worried about the billboard coming down and the scoreboard coming down, but the wall, putting the wall up around the racetrack, and the improvements that have been done, of course, with the turn two the grandstands and stuff. Just kind of give me your opinion of everything that's kind of happened in the last 4 or 5 years, and where FOE Enterprises is headed with the racetrack.
I think what's happened since they've taken over has been vast improvements, and made it more enjoyable. The was going to be a new concept. It wasn't sure how that was going to be received, but it's been well. It's done well, and when you watch races on your streaming service, you see a lot of walls. Doesn't seem to affect it, and probably helps in keeping the track a little better.
Yeah.
But that's been, to me, for me as a fan, it's a wall.
Right.
If I'm a racer, maybe a little different story when you first did that, but I think everyone's used to that now. The facilities are getting better every year. I'm sure there's a grand plan of things they'd like to do, and what to achieve, and it just takes what everybody wants, is that green, that little bit of money.
Right.
It's what you got to work for, and you make a plan for that. But as a whole, I just encourage people to come out, and if you haven't, come out and give it a shot. And if you're only out here once a year, I got to figure out how to get you out here more.
Right.
On that, it's kind of like, how do I get you back into my auto parts store?
Right.
And that's what we all got to do. And the cost to walk in the gate is not much at all, as we said. It's cheaper than going down to the Intrust Bank Arena and watching a show. And it's a longer show out here, and they still have you home by 10:30 at night.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing, is we have a new thing going to happen from 5 to 6 on our Saturday night weekly shows, Hammer Time, presented by the Rusty Nail bar. So come down to Jack's Place concession stand and Tie Rod Tavern, $2 hot dogs and $1 off beers. for Hammer Time, sponsored by Rusty Nail. That's going to happen all of traditional Saturday night shows and special shows and stuff. They're not going to happen all the time, but so that'll be good. So get out here. Like you said, ticket prices did go up a couple dollars. We I wasn't part of that conversation, but the leadership really debated over doing it. But just with the cost of everything in the world, we had to kick it up a couple dollars. But it's still, for what you're gonna see happen in a matter of a couple hours, you just can't beat the price.
Yeah. It's when you think about what the cost of a movie is, or going out to dinner. I mean, you can't even go to a fast food restaurant for much less than what you're paying to get in out here for a Saturday night show.
That's right.
And so I again, don't let that be an issue. And I think for most race fans, it's not, but it's those fancy shows, the big shows where you get, and you can't do anything about that because people don't understand how much money it costs for to guarantee purses and things to get that track. And you have to try to make a little bit of profit. That's what we're all here for.
Right.
So, be patient if you think prices are high, but I see that they've got a combined high limit and Lucas Oil late model show coming up Saturday night. I can't imagine what the prices for a ticket were to that, because they're running for $20,000 each.
Right.
So
that's the thing. Some people, they get upset at the ticket prices for like the Outlaws, but as far as the speedways go for Humboldt and 81, on some of those travelings, we don't set the prices. That's all done by the high limit or World of Outlaws or some of the United States Modified Touring Series ones. You mentioned getting to see the midgets, of course. Did you watch them here last year?
I was here last year. Yes.
You got to go over to Humboldt and watch them, because it's a little tight bull ring, and it gets a little exciting over there. So we'll have to see you for a double header. We can see on Friday night at Humboldt and then here at
I'll see
81.
what's going on with family schedule. That time of year gets to be busy with my daughter and stuff.
Oh, okay. So. Yep. So what do you got going on with your daughter? You mentioned her a couple times. Got some.
She's a freshman in high school, so it's just, you get this time of year, you get band concerts, you get things like that you're running to and stuff, and it's just making sure that we're not overlapping anything or I'm going to miss anything, especially if it's a band concert, the spring band concert or something like that. So,
well, good. Well, hopefully she doesn't have anything going on. Maybe you can drag her over to the racetrack.
Fat chance.
Not going to happen. Can't even make the fan out of the daughter. Okay. We'll work on it.
I'm fine with it. I brought her out here years ago for practice one time, and I gave her the headphones and stuff, but she's just too loud and not, she's like, Mom, just go fast, turn left. It's the guy with the biggest foot. And I'm like, okay, I'll stay home. I'll go.
Love to have you at Humboldt more. Of course, you can get over there and see the Bumper to Bumper store and the folks running there is on your way to the Speedway. And we're going to look forward to seeing you here. Many race nights, not just the Bumper to Bumper night with Wix filters, and hope you bring some koozies, because everyone loves the koozies. And I think I'll have to steal one from the girls before I get down on my four-wheeler in the infield there. But been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming in here.
Thank you for having me.
Taking my call and and saying, what are you doing? I don't want to come on there. So I appreciate you being on, talking about your relationship with 81 Speedway and Bumper to Bumper. And, as far as, the FOE Enterprises, we appreciate you guys so much and everything you do for the sport. The sport of drag racing or circle track racing and dirt, car shows, anything related to cars. We appreciate what you guys do. And we look forward to many, many years of partnership together, and can't wait to see you this year.
Yep. Looking forward to getting out here and looking forward to if I'm out here, people see me, stop me and ask me questions. I would love to talk to you about cars. And
you guys set up a booth do you guys set up a tent every once in a while?
We do at our car shows and things. Yeah. You'll see the Wix. It'll be the yellow Wix tent. And, we usually have somebody there like Wix rep or Mothers or somebody like that. But yep, stop by. I think the first time out it's going to be probably down at the casino car show
Okay.
they have down there at the Kansas Star, and I'll be down there, and as I like to say, just hanging out, having fun.
Hanging out, having fun, looking at cars. Well, I really appreciate you being on here tonight. Like I said, we're looking forward to seeing you at Humboldt and 81 for all the races, and of course the beloved scoreboard. Everyone loves it. If we could just get all the traveling series to link up, so we could make sure that it works. We'd be in heaven. But appreciate you being here tonight. Kind of want to go over a few things. As far as what's going to happen here in the next couple of weeks. Of course, practice on the 2nd and 3rd. So 2nd here at 81, 3rd at Humboldt for practices. All classes going to be there. Battle of the Bull Ring in April, and King of America going to start on March 7th. We want to thank our friends at racingdirt.com for being the official streaming partner for FOE Enterprises and 81 Speedway. Of course, racingdirt.com going to be there for King of America. Enduro, get signed up for that Enduro. We have to have you here for the Enduro. Not to have you for the Godfather 150 here in just a couple weeks. Outlaw tickets, worldofoutlaws.com, high limits. Get on to the 81 Speedway website and get your ticket links there. As far as information for King of America, it is on the United States Modified Touring Series website, usmts.com. We're going to be sharing that here pretty quick as we approach King of America. If you're looking for a job, of course, 81 Speedway hiring, contact the Speedway office or get the information on Facebook. Be paying attention to the Facebook page. Going to be a lot of stuff coming out as race season is approaching. I'm going to be putting stuff up. Katie's putting stuff up. Everyone else for FOE Enterprises is putting stuff up. So appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, on behalf of JR and Katie Sartain, GM John Allen, the Volunteer Army, and everyone with FOE Enterprises, want to thank you for tuning in tonight to Above the Cushion, the official radio show of Humboldt Speedway and 81 Speedway under the FOE banner. We will see you next Thursday night.
Lighter. Spacer on the left rear because I like them tighter. And everybody gets mad when they wreck bad. Dude, you hit everything but the tech pad. Hey, speaking of the tech pad, anybody know what they're checking? They threw a yellow when he wasn't even spinning yet. They'll be talking about that on the internet. Pit lizards, I have to admit it. I like it when you got a little red percentage. Wide open when the lights turn green. Yeah, buddy, that's a dirt track thing. Throwing mud, but it looks so clean.